We are live. It's the LFC Transfer Room, FC Porto match build-up. I'm Matty, and we are joined by Omer, and regular now, and Bob making his first appearance. I'll start with you, Bob. How are you?
All good, fellas. All good. How are you?
Not bad. Not bad. Looking forward to the game.
Should be a good one. Not one that we can sit back and relax, I suppose. With the group already sewn up. It's not like previous years where we're going into this kind of game thinking that we still need to win, that kind of thing. So it's nice to go into it basically knowing that we can essentially treat it like the League Cup, essentially, if you really want to.
Yeah, and Omer, how are you? Doing good?
Yeah. I'm not too bad. I don't really know what to feel about the game, to be honest. Right now, I'll be real. I don't care at all about it, but I know by this time tomorrow, I'll be like, yeah. But it's one of those where you can just sit back for once. Like during the season, you don't get these many times a season. So fingers crossed we get the win. But I just want to see the youngsters perform really, and nobody get injured. That's all.
Yeah, so if you are watching on YouTube, on Facebook or Twitter, do head over to YouTube and we can interact with your comments. It doesn't let us pull Twitter and Facebook up anymore. But speaking about that, do you want us to win? Because if Liverpool lose tomorrow, Liverpool still top the group and Atletico Madrid go into the Europa League.
To be honest, I don't care what happens in the rest of our group. I don't care if it's Atletico. I don't care if it's Porto. That might bite me in the butt when we draw Atletico, and it's a bunch of stress in the knockout rounds. However, right now, I'll never want us to lose. I want us to win. But if we lose, it's going to be probably the best loss we have all season because I'm not going to care one bit. I just don't want injuries. I care about injuries a lot more, which is why I think I know people talk about like the integrity of the competition and like respecting the Champions League, but we have to think about ourselves and be a bit ruthless here. So if I was Klopp, I'd be resting all the big hitters because we saw what happened with José last year, and we can't allow someone like Salah or Mane to just pick up a needless injury in a game like this.
What about you, Bob?
Yeah, I just want us to win, to be honest. I know where you're coming from in the Atletico point because they are quite annoying. But if I'm right, we can't even meet them. Even if we both go through in the group, we can't meet them until the quarters. And I just want us to keep winning, to be honest, like to keep the momentum going because I don't want us to get beat. And then come Saturday, it's just going to be hard to be going up and down. So essentially, whatever team we put out, I hope I won't be as fuming if we don't win, but ideally I'd like us to win. And even if I said now that I don't want us to win, come kick off at 8 o'clock, I would want us to win. So I'll be lying if I said otherwise, to be fair. So keep the momentum going. And yeah, I'd like him to rotate the team. But from the training pictures that we've seen, I don't see Salah agreeing to be on the bench, to be honest. He might do a half because there's 5 subs. But I think Ronaldo just scored today. Lewandowski just scored today. So if he's going to want to keep being up with them boys and top scorer-wise in the competition, then cannon fodder like Porto at home, he needs to probably be playing at least 60 minutes. He might be thinking anyway.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I've just been having a little look at the squad list, and if bar the first 11, it is literally just kids. Now, I do think it'll probably be like what you see in the League Cup, a mixture of first team and kids with probably Salah thrown in, but you might rest Jota and Mane purely for that reason because Salah is after the Ballon d'Ors in what? I know the voting's already happened, but that's in a week or so. So Salah's going to want to be scoring on that world stage. Is there any in particular out of the kids, Omer, who you'd like to see get some minutes against Porto?
I want to see Tyler Morton start. I want to see Tyler Morton be given a full run in that midfield because I think he's got a lot of potential. Potentially, I know he's not a kid, but I'd love to see Nat Phillips play, just because he sort of got us to the Champions League last season. No matter what you think about him, like he was important in that, especially in the running. The other interesting one is Neco Williams where he plays, because I know there's been shouts for him to play at right wing. But I think he will probably play at right back. But it'd be quite good to see him get a few more minutes under his belt, and like good solid minutes, because I think his criticism's been a bit harsh, and he's always done well for Wales, and he's done well for us this season. So I'm quite excited to see what he can do, because he's one of those that are sort of in that bracket between being a kid and being in the first team. So it'd be interesting to see the sort of responsibility he takes on. So yeah.
What about you, Bob? Do you think Nico right back, right wing? Where do you
Yeah,
think?
probably. I'd go with what Omer was saying. Probably, I'd put Nico in at right back, just purely because of the amount of games that we've got coming up. It's not often you get an opportunity to put Trent to one side, really. So this could be the perfect game. And the AC Milan one away. Nico's been doing quite well for Wales, so put him in. Tyler Morton as well. And then I think the rest of the rotation, there's a few people that have come back from injury from what we've heard the last couple of days. So they're going to need some game time as well. James Milner, Keita, Minamina's probably going to need some game time. So there's quite a few. Konata needs to actually play football as well at some point. So, yeah, there's quite a few to rotate, to be fair. But I'm not sure if he'll do the goalkeeper, but it'll be interesting if he does, to be fair.
Yeah, I was going to say that, because when you look at our next two fixtures, it's Southampton and Everton. Tough games. I think it probably is the perfect time to rest Alisson, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And Kelleher, it's probably the best opportunity to get him some more experience at this level, because Alisson's going to be playing pretty much every game he's available for from now until the end of the season. So to get someone like Kelleher an extra 180 minutes in these last two group games just help, because should Alisson get injured, he's already sort of felt that sort of atmosphere in the Champions League that he can step up into. So I think it'd be perfect for Kelleher. And it's I don't think it's obviously Kelleher's not at the level of Alisson, but I wouldn't consider Kelleher a kid anymore. I'd consider him as like a very good second choice keeper who's always done well for us. So I'd throw Kelleher in and just let him have a free run at these last two games.
What about you, Bob? Would you throw Kelleher in? Because when you look at the actual fixtures, the next game where you'd say, yeah, Kelleher's going to start would be the EFL quarter final, which is on the 22nd of December. So it's a month yesterday away. There's a few saucy fixtures in between that. So would you give Kelleher some minutes against Porto and Milan, with Alisson pretty much being a dead set in starting for the Premier League games?
Yeah, definitely. And like Omer said, we need to get him some experience as well. He plays the Watford 5-0 away, and there's no problems. I know it's only Watford, but to be fair, whenever he's played, he's done all right. And like I said, we can't. He's only hanging around, not going on loan, on guessing on the assumption that he's going to get the cup games and any dead rubber games that we may have, which the Champions League right now is essentially a dead rubber, having topped the group already. So give him those two, put Alisson to one side, because I love Alisson to bits, but I'm sure he's like this season he's been great injury wise, but the past few years he picks up a few injuries for a goalkeeper that quite frustrate me, to be fair. So it's going to be cold. You might not have a lot to do, so just chuck Kelleher in, to be honest.
So we'll go from back to front with the team then. So that's Kelleher nailed on. Are you both in agreement of Nico over Trent?
Yeah, I think we're both with that.
Yeah.
And what about our centre backs then? We've got the options of, I think Nat Phillips is probably dead set, but then you've got Gomez is meant to be injured. So you've got Konate, Van Dijk, Matip, Nat Phillips, and then you've got the likes of Billy Cometio as well in the squad, with Chambers, James Norris, stuff like that. Who would you go with as your centre-back pairing? We'll start with you, Bob.
I'd personally go with Konate, and you said Gomez is injured still. So, yeah, it'd probably be Konate and Phillips, but I don't think he'll do that. I think he'll probably go Konate and Van Dijk.
What about you, Omer?
Yeah, same. I would go Konate and Phillips, because if you want a fella like Konate or Phillips to sort of assume responsibility at the back, this is the perfect game to do it. So I don't see why you'd play Van Dijk in this game. I see absolutely no point. He's been pretty relentless with club and country so far this season, and we forget he's off the back of a year injury. So give him the week off. I'd rather Matip there next to Konate or Phillips. And I think Klopp will rest Van Dijk this game. But I'd want Konate and Phillips just because. Just why not? Just go for it.
Well, Nat does deserve it, like you said. Got us into the Champions League, him and Reece Williams. Nat Phillips did stick around as well, didn't he? He could have probably left in the summer. We probably could have got more money than we ever could have for Nat Phillips. His ceiling price was probably this summer, and we've kept him around, and he hasn't seemed to have made much of an appearance. So I think this is the perfect game for him, and he deserves it, doesn't he? He deserves to play a Champions League nice at Anfield for Liverpool.
I think partly that new contract was to reward him for getting us there, to be fair, as well.
Yeah.
And to keep his value up as well, to be fair.
And what about our left back then? Are we going to give Robbo some minutes because he's coming back from an injury, or are we just set on Costas?
I'll stick with Costas, I think.
Yeah, me and Bob are going strike for strike here. Costas as well. Just because I think it's what I would do just to keep him rolling over and give him that sort of momentum. And just because I think Klopp will want to bring Robertson back in on the weekend, no matter how well Costas has played. So, yeah, I go Costas, and I don't think Robertson is the type of person that needs minutes. He's the last person that needs minutes, really. Like he needs the break. So, just if we can give him an extra few days off and trust him to get back to the levels he hits from the weekend onwards, perfect. So just keep going with Costas.
I know it's due to an injury, but do you think Robbo's going to massively benefit from having a few days off like he has done? He didn't play the game on the weekend, not playing on tomorrow, probably. I think that'll help him with his form because he hasn't been in Robbo form this year, has he?
You'd hope so, wouldn't you, to be fair? Because, like you said, he hasn't been in the form that we expect him to be, but that could just be sheer the amount of games that he's had, to be honest. And I think Klopp said before the weekend that obviously when he went down for Scotland, he knew kind of not to push it any further, which he was quite happy about. So I don't imagine him, Klopp himself, pushing it any further really than it needs to be. Probably like Omer said, he comes back in for the weekend, the derby in through December, but there's no point risking him because like this could be a Diego Jota situation, and everybody was absolutely fuming from that last year. So we don't need any of that, if we can help it anyway. Especially in that position, Costas hasn't done anything wrong. He's doing well, so give him back-to-back games and keep him going as well. So I think we'll be all right.
What about Holden? Then are we all nailed on that it's going to be Tyler Morton? I'm glad every time he's come on hasn't done himself any harm. He looks a really exciting prospect at 19 as well, and he's a Liverpool fan. It's in the world, wouldn't it, to start a Champions League night at Anfield? Do you think he'll start and we're going to give Fabinho some rest, Omar?
Yeah, I think we will. I think we'll rest Fabinho and Thiago. And I think just, again, just why not? Just put him in there, put him in the 6 because we've got nothing to lose and it's the perfect way to integrate a young player by getting him into, getting him minutes in a big Champions League game because Porto are going to be up for it. So he's going to feel that intensity. He's going to feel that atmosphere. So it's the perfect game to just sort of bred him into the team. Next to him, I think in the midfield, I would personally go with, well, I'd go quite attacking. I'd go with, I'd have that captain next to him. I'd have Henderson in there to play either 45, 60, just so Mawson can sort of have someone in there that he can rely on a bit. And then I'd go a bit left field here and throw in Minamino in the midfield 3 as well, because I know Klopp speaks of Minamino in the midfield 3 and with youngsters up front as well. That's what I quite like to see. So yeah, but we'll see. I think Klopp will play Minamino in the front line, but that's what I'd like to see. So yeah.
What about you, Bob? Who would you like to see as your midfield three?
Tyler Morton 6. I think because I've put Thiago up for the press conference, and he's not really hardly played, does he? He was off on the international, so you need to get him some games. So I can see him playing. They said Henderson can play, but potentially still has a knock. So kind of the Robertson situation, it'd probably be Ox in there. Again, just Ox, Thiago, and Tyler Morton. Probably with Hendo coming on 45, maybe. And then front three, like Omer said, I can see Minamino playing. Probably, I'm not sure. It might be instead of Jota, to be fair. But again, he picked up a knock at the weekend, so just no need to risk him. But again, Divock's back, so it could be the legend himself's back, so he could be up there as well for a shout.
The match is tomorrow at 8 p.m. Mine Heel, I think is your name. I probably agree with the midfield. I think I'd put Tyler Morton in. I think he deserves his chance in the Champions League. He's done himself no harm when he's played. I agree with you, Bob. I think we probably will play Thiago. Usually, if they're doing a press conference, they're going to start because they're not going to do the press conference and then not start. And I do think he needs the minutes. And he's came out today and said that the links to Barca are rubbish, and he's very happy and made the right decision at Liverpool. So I do think he'll start. Now, I reckon they might even see maybe James Milner make a start, if not the Ox, purely for the captain's armband because of Hendo carrying that knock. You don't really want to risk him when you've got the Derby and Southampton coming up in the next week. They games you really want Hendo to be playing, and so I do think you might maybe see Milner get 60 odd minutes, or maybe the Ox gets 60 and then Milner comes on for the last 40 if the game's dead in the air, and then with the front three, I'd like to see a little bit of a left field one, someone like Harvey Blair or someone play. To be honest with you, they are in the Champions League squad. Just to see a bit of youth getting their chance, or Balzagli as well. He's been phenomenal for the under-21s, but I do think Divock, I mean, the UEFA website saying Divock's got a knock, but if he's back, I do think he starts, and he was fantastic against AC Milan when he got his chance.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I hope if we do play Divock, I hope he plays number 9. I don't want him playing on the left because it's just I can't take it anymore.
Is what's his name, Musolowski in the squad?
No, he's not in the squad. Also, the youth players up in the forwards, you've got Oakley, Cannoneer, Harvey Blair, James Balzagli, and that's pretty much it. There's more youth in the midfield and defensive areas, to be honest. So not even Cade Gordon, because I would like to have maybe seen him get a few.
Yeah, I was going to mention him. I can probably see him coming on for Salah on 60 or 70, to be fair, because they're playing the same position, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can probably see Salah starting then in that case. And I just hope he slams in a hat-trick and gets hooked off at half-time, because that's,
you can all get on board with that.
Yeah, that's what we all probably want to see.
It probably wouldn't surprise me if you did see Divock down the left, Salah in the middle, and the Ox on the right. When you look at the squad list, to be honest, although Divock, I agree with you, Bob. I think he plays so much better when he's on the last man, isn't he? On dropping the shoulder in that number 9 position, he's a different animal. Where maybe he goes into that 9 when Salah comes off. I do think Salah's played 4, scored 5, and like you said, Ronaldo and Lewandowski.
You forgot Taki on that though, Matty.
Oh yeah. I would like to see Taki. I think when Taki came on at the weekend for the little cameo we had, I think he was fantastic. He scored.
Yeah, 100%.
His hold up play as well was pretty neat.
Definitely, he looks stronger now as well. To be fair, he looks a little bit stronger. Like he can hack it. From Klopp today saying that he's definitely going to get minutes tells me that he's probably going to start this one.
I do think he'll start. And looking at the Porto team, what threats are there? Now, I'm going to throw it out there and say Marco Grujic is a threat. Returning to Anfield, been exciting for Porto this year. And then there's also Luis Diaz, who's been heavily linked to Liverpool in the last few weeks. Is there anyone else you're looking at and thinking they could cause us problems, especially if we are playing a weakened side?
I think it's all about Luis Diaz. They're going to just try and, especially if we play Neko at right back, their game plan is probably just to get it to him and just tell him to run out our defense. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But yeah, I think they're going to try and do everything through him. So it's just down to us to stop that. Basically, I don't really think Grujic might be up for it, but you know, they're going to be a threat in the sense that they need these points. They'd love to get 3 points here and put Atletico in the Europa League, because that saves them a massive game. They play Atletico, don't they, in the final game? Yeah, so that saves them a lot of stress. So it's a bit like, do you remember when Atalanta came to us last season and won 2-0? I think they're going to be equally as up for it. So it's just down to us to combat that. It helps that we have the crowd, so we can't really slack. But yeah, it's gonna be our toughest game against Porto, and weirdly, it's in the most irrelevant one yet.
Well, yeah, because if they win, then that makes their game against Atletico Madrid ultimately a dead rubber game, because they're qualified then. But what would be interesting is if AC Milan can get a win against Atletico, because then that puts the pressure on Atletico to have to win Porto last game to even get in the Europa League. Now, just out of Simeone's antics the other week, I would like to see them not get nothing.
I think we can all get on board with that. On the threat with Porto, though, the midfield player that came off early in the last game that we played, Otavio, I think his name was. There was a few news with him on the summer with us as well. So it'll be interesting to see what he's about.
They've got a few good midfielders, Paul. So they've got the youngster as well, Fabio Vieira, who's meant to be a huge talent. He's only played once in the Champions League. I do think that their midfield will be Grujic, Vitinha, Otavio, and Oliveira, because they're the ones who've played every single game for them so far.
And the fact that we've slapped them every time we've played is going to make them want to get something back at some point. I mean, it's been high scorelines every time we've played him. So
I do think it's probably going to be Luis Diaz. He's going to look at that as an audition for Liverpool. If we are heavily linked, like everyone's saying, we've spoke to them, it's sort of like an audition for him, isn't it, to go and impress, and you might get that January move to Liverpool.
Yeah, Sergio Oliveira is pretty lethal from a set piece as well, so that's another one probably to look out for. I remember him against Juventus last year, just absolutely torn him to shreds. So he's a player that I've always liked, so it'll be interesting to see how he performs.
And what about Grujic? I was gutted to see Grujic go. I think he's a massive talent in 25. He's impressed the Porto this year. Are you looking forward to seeing what he's about at Anfield tomorrow?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously, it didn't work out for him here for whatever reason. I'd also quite have liked to see him involved in the squad more. It probably would have helped us depth-wise as well. He'd have probably played in this game for us. But yeah, I wish him the best, and I hope he turns up for Porto for the rest of the season and wherever he plays for the rest of his career. But just not tomorrow, because it's against us. So yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does switch it on and just have a little dig at Klopp and say, this is what you're missing out on. So we'll see. But hopefully Tyler Morton proves why he's a 8th, 9th choice midfielder at the club.
I think Morton's really going to be one to look out for. I think he's probably the next one to break out this academy. It's good, isn't it? It's good to see the academy pumping out so much talent, because if you cast your minds back, the only ones really had prior to before Trent was probably Gerrard and Carragher. And since Trent, you've now had Jones. You can't really argue for Harvey Elliott, he came from Fulham, but you've had Jones, Trent, Tyler Morton, Kate Gordon's coming through now as well. You got Musialowski coming through. The academy, the pumping, isn't it?
Yeah, and if they're not coming into the first team, they're making us some money, which is all good. Well, when Bournemouth was still in the Premier League, anyway.
They might be coming back up. They're doing well.
They are, yeah. No.
And don't forget, Eddie Howe's took the Newcastle job. He's the one who bought all the players, so we might start.
Genuine question: what are we doing if they make a significant offer for Divock? Which is all possible.
I'd let him go, to be honest, if it's going to help the kitty a bit, because I do think we've got with Harvey Elliott coming back as well from injury. I think the front four's all right.
It's just the timing of it with the AFCON though.
Yeah, I'd only let him go if there was something lined up to come in straight away.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you get one of those, like Firmino's injured at the moment, and you go in with them 4 plus Minamino. To be fair, it doesn't actually sound that bad, but yeah, with the AFCON, I'd wanna, if Origi goes, I'd wanna get someone in. So yeah, but if Newcastle throw about, I don't know, 50 million at Origi, please take it.
Likely with any hours, paid 20. Was it 29 million for Solanke?
Yeah. So thank you, Eddie Howe. You're giving us whatever bargains we can foster at Liverpool.
Before we go, then let's get some score predictions off you. I'll start with you, Bob.
I think it will be a narrow 2-1 win to the Reds.
Who's going to score the goals?
Salah and probably Mane off the bench.
What about you, Omar?
I'll still go for a win because I don't think I'll ever be able to have it in me to predict anything other than a Liverpool win. So I'm going to go with 1-0 Liverpool, Nat Phillips header. That's what we'll like to see.
I do think we'll win. I'm gonna go with what Bob said there, 2-1. As much as I would, it pains me to say, but I would like us for Porto to win, just so Atletico's out the Champions League, thinking strategically if we did draw them. It's a tough knockout tie.
Goal scorer wise as well for Porto, don't be surprised if it's a Gruitch from a corner. He's a tall lad.
Yeah. But I think 2-1, and I think it'll be Salah. And I'm going to throw it out there for Minamino. I think he might get us a Champions League goal.
He's
the other day.
Like London.
Two goals on the bounce, pushing for a start of the weekend, I would say.
Against Southampton as well. He was there on loan.
Yeah.
I would start on the weekend, to be honest, because Everton's not Wednesday after that, and he definitely would start that game. So I'd start.
Who would you start him ahead of? I mean, that's we're talking about a game ahead of a game, but who would you start him ahead of on that one?
I'd probably rest Mane for the derby.
Mane's not taking
former team Southampton, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'd have him in for Jota, just because I think Minamino's got better hold up player than Jota. Obviously, Jota has that magic touch; he just knows where the back of the net is. But
I don't think Mane can take another drop in. He's had a few this year.
Yeah. There's no way you're hooking Salah. So
Mane's going to be like, why is it just me that's trying to get left out? Like,
yeah. So we'll see. But I'm all keen. I'm all ears for that Minamino hat trick against Southampton.
Absolute scenes. We get a nice one for Bob and Omar for coming on. I'm assuming we will be back tomorrow with a post-match reaction after Liverpool have either knocked Atletico out the Champions League or give them a favour. Thank you for watching them. Don't forget to subscribe on all the socials and hit the subscribe button on YouTube as well, and interact over on there for all future streams. I've been Matty, Bob, and Omar, and I will see you.
Peace out, guys.
See ya.